Behind.
The research. God. Yes. Welcome to Behind the Research. I'm not quite sure what that was. It was meant to be slightly more coordinated than that.
Planned.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. But yeah, thank you for being here. We have a sorry, cat's telling me to lower the music. I shall make it a little bit quieter.
We could all just talk louder.
I've lowered it now, so
Okay.
there's no need to scream. Yeah, thank you for joining us. We don't have any guests with us today. It's just our boring faces, unfortunately.
No. Yeah, it's really good. Good. Nice time.
Yeah, so we're just going to have a team catch up and see how we've all been doing. So if you've got any questions about PhD in general, how things are going, or bits of advice or whatever, then feel free to put them in chat. Yeah, so we starting with the
Newest
young,
member.
yeah.
Yes. Maybe.
Mhm.
Probably the best option there.
Mm-hmm.
Similarity, isn't it? Oh well. For those who don't know, I'm Matt. I'm very new to
Hi,
that.
Matt.
Hi, Henry.
Used to be much more like primary school accent.
Every say hello to Matt.
Hello, Matt.
So I'm very, very new, very unsenior, junior. 6 months in. And yeah.
What sort of stuff do you do in the first 6 months?
Um,
And this is like straight into PhD.
straight into
There's
PhD.
no
Yeah.
messing around.
So, for those who don't, I'm not a Sandra student, but I kind of am on my half.
Mhm.
Best of both.
Some may say
Um,
aligned.
So yes, some may say that. So I'm a Sandra Line student. So the first year I don't actually do an MRes year. I just go straight into PhD. Go ham. Although so far it's maybe not going ham, just doing it out. I think it's probably
It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not-
I think having spoken to people that have gone straight into PhD, a lot of people that I've spoken to have said that the first 6 months are very much just like getting used to the literature and kind of like slow building. So
I mean, it's very it's mostly numeric analysis. And it's quite different from everything I've done before.
Oh, okay.
Really enjoyed doing little bits of it before, but now it's kind of just warming up, like you say, getting a feel for literature, understanding roughly what's going on. We can dive into the details.
yeah.
Nice.
I mean, if anybody wants to, well, if anybody recognises Matt for a start off, not from a recent Behind the Research stream, but you were actually a guest on one of our streams from last year. So you can find that and you can find out a bit more about Matt and your academic background, I guess, by going and watching one of our old streams. But yeah, so how are you finding it anyway? 6 months in.
It's going okay.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
I wouldn't describe it as plain sailing, but it's going okay. It's nice and well, it's not really quiet, but it's quieter, I think, than people's, from what I can tell. So it's allowed me to do a few other things, like tutor, and be a bit more well-rounded, I think, this time. I don't know. Maybe I'll leave that for someone else to say.
Have you done any tutoring stuff before?
I did a bit
Okay.
in my undergrad and my master's. I did a little bit then. But this year I decided I'd try teaching second year stuff.
Ooh.
First time. Big mistake. It's a big step
Oh,
up.
really? Yeah.
It's quite a bit of a step up.
Do you prefer teaching second year to first year?
Oh, they are enthusiastic.
Because like at least the people who do turn up to tutorials actually care and they're usually pretty on it.
Yeah, they are more enthusiastic. But the work, like the prep time, is a lot because I've actually got to think about it properly.
Yeah, I guess it's one of those like weighing up sort of the reward of having enthusiastic, engaged students is a nice one. Is it like worth the sort of the extra time and effort?
Plus the marking is so much harder as well. So much harder. But yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. Nice.
That's been good. We're doing the same one, aren't we?
Yeah, we're doing next chapters of
That's
PDs.
fabulous.
It's better than some stuff because at least it's a methods course, so they have a like standard problem of, and then they get an answer as opposed to some of the like pure ones where it's like prove this lemma, and so there's like 5 different ways of proving it, and like
Okay.
at least this is like, okay, you've not gone through the algorithmic steps of how to solve this thing. You've done it wrong. It's very easy to mark that way, as
Okay.
opposed to like ones
Sure.
where it's like there's 5 different potential ways you could solve this problem, and you actually have to like think of have they done something correct or have they done something wrong because it might not necessarily be obvious.
Mm.
So yeah,
Mhm.
definitely recommend doing methods tutorials because they're easier.
Yeah, okay. No, it's been very fun.
Mhm.
Very
Do you think you've appreciated having like the tutoring just as I think something that always sort of terrified me, like when you go down from like GCSEs to A levels to university, and it's like you slowly like reduce the amount of different things that you can like switch your focus to. Like if you're bored or you're struggling with this particular subject, or maybe at university like this module is just really not clicking at the minute, so you can go and switch to something else. I guess when you get to like PhD, it's even though there are different subtasks within that, it's like all of a sudden you've just got one problem you're working on.
I appreciated it like earlier in the term, but definitely now I'm like excited for summer to be like, oh, I've actually got 5 days a week I can do research on, and like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think it's also a function of like I'm in a phase where I feel really motivated to get a load of work done.
Mhm.
So it's like actually I don't want the distractions now. Whereas previously when I've been less motivated to do PhD work, it's been like, oh, I'm actually happy that I've got a distraction of going to spend a day tutoring and marking.
Yeah, it's a nice change of scenery, I think. Because like when you're working on your research, it's normally quite quiet
Mm-hmm.
by yourself. But the tutoring is very much the opposite, very angry,
Mm-hmm.
chatting, trying to engage people. Yeah, it's much more different in that sense. But I really like it. But
Okay.
nice change of scenery.
Yeah,
Which is
yeah.
nice, but
Mm-hmm.
Is there a particular reason why you chose that module to tutor?
I picked it because it's similar to what I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
ish. Yeah, that was generally the only reason I picked it. But yeah, I thought I'd enjoy it because of that, and maybe it would have been a bit easier to do. Turns out it's not. It's still really hard,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really fun.
Yeah,
Really
it's just
fun.
similar reason I picked, but we doing the same module. So a lot of like the vector calculus stuff is like fundamental in how you derive a lot of these basic fluid stuff. So it's stuff I've been doing for years. And then solving PDEs is again something I've done a lot of. So everything is new as opposed to like if I took a stats or probability second year module, that would all be new material for me and that would be very difficult. And like
So do you find like tutoring a module which is like somewhat in alignment with your PhD is also like helpful for your PhD as well in terms of going over the fundamentals? Is like kind of different enough that it's not.
I think it's so fundamental that like so part of the module is solving PDEs. And the PDEs I'm solving with like if you could solve these very very elementary methods, it wouldn't be a PhD program. What I'm doing is a lot harder, a lot more complicated PDEs to solve. You can't just apply method of characteristics to it or like separation of variables and get an answer. And again with vector calculus, like the vector calculus is used. This is how the initial like Navier-Stokes was derived. Now it's been derived. You might like do one thing like in it to get to your like next formulation of a problem, but again that's all very like I don't know, so it's involved, but it's very foundational stuff which you
Okay.
then don't really touch once you have the formulas.
I think for me it's a bit different. It's more like the soft skills you get from it.
Mm-hmm.
So like it helps me explain the more complicated things like that I do try to do on a day-to-day basis.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to explain it because these people they've never done it before.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So for them it's like very very new. So you're trying to explain it
Mm-hmm.
in a way that they understand it, but then it also kind of helps you back
Mm-hmm.
because it's
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
it's a two-way street, but it is a two-way street.
And I guess there's an art or like an art or a skill in finding because different explanations are going to click with different people. So it's like you have to reimagine it in your head so many times to try and like, okay, what about if I approach it this way? And then, like, so you might get half of the tutored group could click with one way, but then you need to find a different way to, yeah. But it's like you say, it's good to sort of build those soft skills and challenge, like, you get something out of it as well as just sort of a little bit extra money on the side, and
Yeah.
it's nice. Yeah, but how have you found PhD work anyway? First 6 months.
That's been busy.
Yeah.
Busier than I was expecting. To be honest, I don't really know what I was expecting.
Sure.
yeah, busy. It's been fun though. So we're kind of just working our way through stuff and trying to. My supervisor's got lots of ideas.
Mhm.
Um, so it's trying to figure out, are they going to work maybe, are they not, and
Mhm.
where does this fit in with everything else and
Yeah.
all the bits that come along with it.
Mhm.
So it's a little bit
Okay.
overwhelming at times, but it's okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I think the important thing to remember is that because you are still early days, then you've got the time to go, okay, well, we don't know if this thing's going to work, but maybe we can spend a month exploring it. And
Yeah.
it's not sort of like
Mm.
big sort of pressure points to get stuff done or, yeah. But no, I know how you feel in terms of like sometimes it's nice to just have a like you know that this thing is going to work
Mm.
and it's going to tick off this box, and then other times there are problems that it's like you literally have no idea. Yeah. Because how long have you got in terms of Samba Aligned? Like, how many years of funding do you have?
I've got 4.
So you know, okay.
So yeah, the same as the sandwich student.
Yeah, yeah.
So
That's like 4 years
13.
of PhD
Yeah.
research. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
As opposed to sandwich is 1 year and then
Yes.
1 year plus 3.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think they want us to be a little bit on increase our microphone
Yeah,
and
I
maybe
can do.
decrease music slightly as well. It's just some final
Look
audio
at us.
touches.
oh, I'm glad it's 10 minutes in.
Look at us
That's
being.
right.
I was gonna say, normally we don't have any issues with being heard, and then like, yeah, no, we're being a bit quiet.
I mean, it's also
Maybe-
because we're like all engaging and talking as opposed to like whoever sat behind a desk.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Hopefully that is a little bit better. Let us know if the audio needs to be adjusted anymore, or if you can hear us just fine now. So yeah, okay, I'll keep an eye on chat.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, it's good that you're getting stuck in, and like, how have you found like your relationship with your supervisor? Because
Good.
you were at Bath beforehand, so did you know like your supervisor sort of well beforehand?
Well,
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
here's a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly good.
Nice.
No, wait, all good. Sorry, all good. So that was kind of good. I considered doing a master's project with him. But we ended up not doing that.
Mhm.
I went with the more industrial facing one.
Mhm.
But yeah, so in that sense, it was kind of we somewhat knew each other, maybe a little bit. I knew roughly what he'd be like. But so it's been good. Yeah, it's been not a particularly serious relationship, which is probably for the best. But it's good.
Nice.
It's good. I feel like we can talk and
No, but it sounds like you've got some good foundations, and like you say, if it's sometimes if things aren't taken too seriously, then it means you know you can sort of break down those
Yeah.
kind of
Mm.
work kind of walls
I
at
agree.
times when you need to, and yeah.
yeah, it does make things a lot easier when you're trying to talk about complicated things and stuff because you can ask stupid questions then and you don't feel bad about it. And most questions are stupid anyway.
There's no stupid questions, only
There
stupid
is
answers.
yeah, those questions are stupid. Yeah, just you don't get them yet, and that's fine. So yeah, it's good.
Nice.
Very happy so far.
That's good.
Enjoy.
That's good. Yeah, and like you've got loads of time. You've got like a year longer than we've
Yeah.
all had in some sense.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah. Which may seem terrifying, but may seem quite nice depending on which way you look at it. Yeah. Have you got any industry partners or like external supervision within the PhD?
Yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
collaborating with the CEA, which is the
Okay.
French. Oh, they're gonna hate me. The Alternate Energies
Ah.
Okay.
Commission.
I'm a bit
Okay.
shitting in French.
That's, I mean,
yes,
that's CEA just in a different order. I can
Commission,
believe
yeah.
that.
Definitely.
Something.
Gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's quite interesting to see that. I've met with them a couple of times, talked through some work. They're both really nice.
Yeah.
Really nice people, the people I met. There may be a chance I get to go and see them at some point,
Yeah.
which would be nice. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Don't know about it. I'm waiting for stuff.
Is
It's
it
all
gonna be because
bureaucracy
it's
stuff, so it's
well,
going to
presumably
take.
because nuclear stuff has a whole bunch of clearance stuff you have to go through.
I don't know. I just sent them some photos and leave it at that.
But no, so I guess the majority of your work is with your supervisor here, but then they're just kind of there as like more of an advisory role.
At the moment, especially,
Yeah.
I think it's going to transition more to kind of maybe more 50-50.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
towards the line, so I think they're quite focused on application.
Yeah.
So it may transition a bit,
Mm-hmm.
which I think would be really fun.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
I like working in the industry, doing like
Yeah,
half and
yeah.
half. Really enjoyed that in my masters, so I'm hoping it'll be a bit more like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll see.
Mm.
Don't know.
Because did you not find like during your masters at any point did it feel like there was kind of like too many cooks sort of situation? Like if you've got multiple supervisors, sometimes it can be that are all equally invested in you
Yeah.
and the project.
Yeah, it was a bit like that.
Yeah.
So I had one in Bath and two in the Mouth for
Mhm.
masters.
Oh, okay.
And the one in Bath was very relaxed and kind of, yeah, just, you do what you think's right.
Mhm.
And the one from the Met Office was a bit less relaxed. But it all worked out
Mhm.
best. And we got something written and
Mm.
I got a master's. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it was okay.
Mhm.
But yes, I think there is a lot of that every now and then.
Mhm.
It's a bit of both. In this case, the industrial government is a bit less. They're more
Mhm. Mhm.
physicsy people.
Mhm.
But they're really keen from what they show me so far. They're really keen on learning about maths. It's
Mhm.
quite interesting to do. So
Yeah. It's nice.
it's very much two-way street in the case
Mhm.
because I don't really know much about physics.
No.
So it's kind of so it's really good.
Yeah, sounds good. And like at least you've got some experience of kind of dealing with industry and all of that. And like again,
Yeah.
multiple supervisors from your masters, so hopefully that will come in handy.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, okay, sounds good.
Mhm.
Shall we
Do-
move on?
yeah.
We're not. No, that was not the right
Mhm.
turn of phrase,
Mm.
Henry.
What was it?
Were you gonna say, "Shall we do me"?
Oh yeah.
We're gonna move on and ask
Yeah.
Henry about how his PhD is going now.
My PhD is yes, I do fluid flow over step.
Mhm.
6 months in, but a year and a half in, which
Mm.
is mainly to explain where I am because I've been to a few conferences recently. Explain to like people like, oh, how far have you done? Well, it depends how you count it. It's either 6 months or a year and a half, but I tend to be going for like 6 months because of like
Mhm.
research is about where I am. But no, it's been it's. I think I didn't expect it. Like I would have hoped I would have made more progress when I like if it's this time last year like asked me where I would have liked to have been in terms of research.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would have said I'd like to be a bit further along, but I think that's
Mhm.
natural. I mean, definitely I think it's definitely taken longer for us to like find a way into one of the models we're trying to do.
Okay.
And I think, particularly in mine, I've not been super structured of how I've like organised my time and like organised my notes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's definitely like, oh, it'll be fine if I just like have this structure for like making notes and like actually no, I need to actually spend some time and sort out everything because of But I think I think it's a learning process your first 6 months.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So how are you like structuring things? Master,
currently-
like what's your?
Well, currently a massive pile of sheets on my desk,
Oh, okay.
and all my code is called test underscore something,
Ah,
and it's all uncommented. And I had to go back through some of it the other day, and I was like,
yeah.
I really should have commented thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like if this function was just a bug fix or if it was important.
I see.
Okay. I've learned my lesson with commenting, so I'm now very grateful for past
Mhm.
Beth.
Yeah.
Like certainly PhD code, I was like, no, yeah.
Yeah, it was like, because every single time I'm like, oh, this is literally like, when you're working, I was like, I don't need to comment, I'll come back and do a pass after I've got it working, and I'm like, fine. And when you still get working, then your supervisor's, like, my supervisor, I think I need to be a little bit more following what my supervisor says a little bit less strictly. So I sometimes feel like, he's like, do this different thing this week, you do the things like, okay, now move on and do this other thing. Where I think I probably should not listen to him and, like, make sure I finish the thing I was working on last week before I started doing the things. I was like, oh, the code's now working. Okay, move on to this other thing. Like, it's not really working. I should probably spend time ensuring the code has been good as opposed to being like,
It's like, do you just want working code or do you want
Yeah.
efficient code?
it's not even that. It's like, I think it's one of those things that like, I think more of it is like, your supervisor sees you for, an hour and a half, 2 hours, how long your meeting is. And the supervisor is probably actually only thinking about your work for like maybe that meeting, then maybe a few hours afterwards before they have to move on to one of their other students or to their own projects. So they're sort of telling you what to do is like the first idea which comes into head, which obviously is like very good and useful because of they are far more experienced than us. But I think a lot of times like knowing when to be like, I know you suggested I do this, but I think I need to finish this thing off
Mm-hmm.
and not put so much of my like energy into exactly what you said because actually exactly what you said is probably actually not what I need. Or like sometimes it's like I actually already thought about trying that, I've tried it, and it's not really worked.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just going to sort of look at my own. I think supervising your supervisor and like learning how much to sort of use what they suggest you to do in a week is like a bit more under advisement than maybe like I was doing when I was like using as like a task list and my supervisor told me to do these three things. I would tick them off. And then you go to a meeting and it's like, okay, cool, now do these next few things. I'm like, if I actually spent time making sure I did two of those things really well and like wrote stuff up of what I'm doing, I think probably would be helpful.
Yeah, yeah. I guess there's a balance, and like you say, it's all a learning curve, and
Yeah.
you're learning to work. You're learning how you work as a PhD student for a start. Off.
Yeah.
You're learning how your supervisor supervises and how you work together, and it's like you say, striking that balance between sort of conviction in like, no, I want to carry on with this thing, and kind of fighting that urge to be like, but they know best. So
Yeah, it's definitely the first few months of being like, oh, my supervisor knows best. I must do exactly what they say, otherwise I'm not going to do well. And I think it's definitely like your supervisor always does know generally what best, but understanding that like their advice comes from like not knowing as much at that moment of time about your problem and being like, okay, I need to make sure like I think probably if you're parking something to move on, actually make a good note of what the hell you were doing at that moment of time of thinking. Because if you come back to it and you realise I have no idea what I was doing that week because of like I did stuff and I've got like pages of notes I made.
Okay.
But I've not I need to be better like, okay, this was my plan, this is what I was trying to do. Because a lot of time I've come back and like I've got no idea what I was doing that week. And at some point in time that week has now been wasted because of the stuff I was doing, like I is now like I can't really remember what that point of that was. So yeah, definitely I think I'm gonna try and structure like a half like Friday afternoons is like writing up what I've done that week.
That seems nice.
Like just this is what I did on Monday, this is what I did on Tuesday. Like formally typing it somewhere as opposed to like scribbled on a piece of paper. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, something that I've done that I find really helpful is like after every supervisor meeting, I will go away and write a paragraph of this is what we discussed and this is what I'm going to work on this week now. So that at least if a thread kind of gets dropped at some point and then it gets maybe picked back up again, I can go back and roughly figure out when we were talking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done that with all of my meetings. So I've got like a big stack of essentially just like minutes of every supervisor meeting. Okay, these are the points we raised. This is the discussion. This is what the actions are going to be for next time.
Yeah, I think I did do that, but then I like found that like after the meeting I'd be so like mentally exhausted. I need to do something else, and I completely forget about to do it. It's like I don't know, it's been 2 days and I've not made any notes.
But I think you're right. Like setting aside some time in the week, regardless of when it is or what that means for you, to just do some note taking.
Yeah.
Because you will, the more you've got written, when it comes to like actually having to then write something, you will thank yourself. Like, yeah.
But no, I'm definitely not like I think I definitely was a period of time last term I was feeling pretty unmotivated. But a few weeks break, going to a few conferences, I now definitely feel motivated, excited for the summer to have like just a period of 6 months, coming up after like no tutorials, nothing like this, just like sort of 6 months of just good PhD work ahead. I'm kind of like really excited to get into that.
It's good that you both like in some ways like the opposite of what you might expect, where some people might be very daunted by the thought of having no distractions and like you're like no, like give me like PhD and nothing else.
It's just I don't know, it's like there's also like some other organisational things I've been doing. I mean, like, oh cool, those are going to be coming to the end soon as well. So I'm kind of excited to like have less to do. Yeah,
it's the best feeling. Best feeling. Yeah. Ah, it's really fun.
Your turn, Beth.
My turn. Since I'm technically then, Seb's the wise one.
The grand
Oh no. Oh,
Pig
I
skin.
suppose I am.
Go last and give all your wisdoms
Yeah.
to us lowly
Ah,
first and second
infinite
years.
wisdom.
I never know whether to count myself as a first or a second year PhD. No, as in second or third year PhD student.
That's again. So, like, do I describe myself as a first or second year PhD?
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like a first one. Mentally, I feel like a first.
I think
Yeah, and
maybe
I-
just don't say PhD student and say, oh, I'm in like my second year of research.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think that's what I tend to go for. Is like, I'm in the second year of my PhD. Because if you tell
Okay.
people that you're in the third year of your PhD or your CDT,
But like, oh, you're finishing,
Yeah,
or like
yeah.
you, oh, you. It's like, oh, you must have so much done. Like, well, you doing your postdoc? Like, no, it's not. Yeah.
like I still get that, like regardless of
Yeah.
but no, okay, yeah, second year of PhD. Which means that I have just done confirmation.
What
So
is
beat
confirmation?
me to it. So confirmation is, again, I think it's a fairly universal sort of thing in the sense that every PhD program, every university does something similar.
Yeah.
They might do it at different points in time or do it in different ways.
Yeah.
But here at Bath, we do confirmation, which for Samba students is 18 months after the start of the PhD phase. I don't know how it is with you. Are you...
Mine is in 6 months.
Yeah, okay.
So,
So
a year.
I think, PhD students without an MRes will have it 12 months after start. And we have, I think for the reason that in second year of Samba, we have to take some talk courses alongside starting our PhD. So we get like an extra 6 months kind of buffer zone for doing confirmation. So yeah, it's basically a checkpoint where we write up a report of this is everything I've done so far. And it doesn't have to be completed. It can be, you could have like, again, in theory, potentially a paper or like a chapter of your thesis that is kind of an almost finished thing by that point. But it could just be saying this is all the stuff that we've tried and this is where we're going to go for future work. And I think that's what they want to see is like that you've thought about the direction of your research. So I've I submitted that report before Easter, which was like 50 pages in the end.
Whoa.
And I think
Gosh.
from being in a place where I started off feeling like I'd not done nearly enough, and it's like because like you say, you kind of end up exploring lots of different avenues, and then you're like, we're just going around in circles. Nothing feels like it's kind of coming out of this in a sense. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, where did all of that come from?
Nice.
Which is quite nice, and hopefully, it's actually 50 pages of like meaningfulness and not complete garbage. So it was. I think it was quite nice to see that in some sense. And then we have to do a viva for that as well. Which
Done yours? Yeah.
no.
Okay.
So I think the timing of the submission deadline being around the Easter holidays has meant that both my examiners have been away for the school holidays, and so they're not. I don't expect them to have been reading my report on like a beach wherever.
Yeah. This is understandable.
Yeah. So then it won't be until like early May now.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think the aim is for like a month, within a month of submission. I'm probably just outside of that. But it's just like trying to organise people's schedules. It's like a nightmare. At
I
the
think
best
like
times.
some people in like our PhD group who did theirs last year didn't have like five until like 2 months afterwards or something. So
Right.
it's
Okay.
like
Yeah. Yeah. No, Thomas, I'm not. I wouldn't advocate for trying to write a particularly long report, like, and everything's different, so it's like a review piece doesn't necessarily have to be. I think the advice for us is like around 30 to 40 pages, and mine was shorter. Then my supervisor made me make the margins bigger, which made it more pages.
I mean, like that's
Life hack.
It's like there's so much you can like. I don't know. Page number is such a sort of bad metric for
Yeah.
like.
But it's difficult then to do a word count in maths.
Yeah.
In the sense when I guess.
Yeah, the questions.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think cause I don't know. Like my TFR, which was a big report I did over summer, I think that came out as like 45 pages.
Wow.
But again, like I don't know how many words or something it was.
in Overleaf, it does actually have a word
Yeah,
count.
there's a word counter.
So it tells you like the number of equations, the words, the amount of math in line as well is something it tells you,
Interesting.
and like the number of figures. So I'm like, this is like I do quite like that because then at least you still have a sense of, again, people like friends that I know that might have done like essays or something in there if they did a more humanities or like an English degree, and they have a sense of how long an essay is in terms
Yeah.
of words, and they always ask me like when I say I've got to write this kind of report, they're like, how many words is it? So I don't know. I don't know.
I think so. Then I did a calculation of like if mine was like if I took all the maths out of my TFI, like how many pages would be? It was like if like the average like word formatting had been 30 pages in Word or something. If you like took out all the like inline maths and like all the figures and just put a more character number or like word number in like as a Word document, it would be like 30 standard pages or whatever. So
And how did you find the writing process of this? It's quite a hefty document.
Yeah, I think I was grateful for the fact that I had written as I'd gone along, in the sense that I got sort of sections of like certainly like maths derivations that I'd written up where it's like I know that this is like a completed thing, so I'm going to write it in LaTeX. And then writing like equations after equations in LaTeX was then so nice to just copy and paste. It's like when that's sort of then immediately like 6 or 7 pages, and it's just in there,
Gosh.
and it's like it's good. So I'd also before Christmas written up a draft of a paper as well. So that then again sort of there was a big chunk of text that I was like, okay, I can immediately kind of copy and paste this in. So I did have like a good foundation to start from, I think, which made I always find starting writing like the hardest part. So I'd always kind of plan like these are my sections, these are my headings, and I'll put some like bullet points in each one of like this is what I want to say, and then slowly pick and choose where I'm expanding on the bullet points. I'm glad that I gave myself more time than my supervisors wanted me to.
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh, just start it like mid-March. You'll be fine."
Ah.
I was like, "No, I'm not giving myself 2 weeks. Like, regardless of knowing how long it may or may not be or what I've got to go in there, like, I'm not writing that in 2 weeks."
No.
So I sort of officially gave myself a month, which I think was like a good amount of time. And yeah, so it wasn't too bad. Like I say, I was grateful that I'd written stuff up. And it definitely gets to a point, and I can imagine it's like only going to be worse with thesis, where you're just like, I'm fed up of looking at this thing now. I don't care how many spelling mistakes there are. If that sentence doesn't quite make sense, I just want to submit it. So yeah, but I'm definitely finding now that I've kind of hitting like that kind of confirmation wall, and I feel like this is a relatively common thing. I don't know. And for like various reasons, I'm just kind of like, I don't know what to do next. I don't know, like the thought of carrying on in some sense when you've done like 18 months, you've built up to this big thing and gone, okay, have it. Like, I don't want to think about it anymore. And then now it's like, no, I need to now fill the next 18 months. It's quite a scary thing. But no, so I had like a chat with my supervisors today actually about how things can maybe like change, or we can just go on in a little bit differently to sort of help me get through this kind of like writer's block, which is ironic given that I've just finished the writing. But yeah, so they were really pleasantly surprised me, and I'm like, maybe I should have had more faith in you, pair.
Yeah.
But no, so they were really happy to sort of change things up a bit and be supportive. So we're going to come up with a plan for like how I can get stuck in via baby steps for like the next couple of months, which is quite nice and reassuring. Because like I say, the thought of then just another 18 months stretching out in front of me was quite daunting.
Yeah. Understandable.
So yeah, I'm feeling infinitely more positive now than I was like this morning.
Good. Nice.
Which is good. Yeah. And breathe.
Yeah, I suppose that like it's kind of like finishing a book in some sense. Like there's all this effort and energy you put into it, and then like you close it, and you're like, what do I do with my life now? Like, I've spent so much time focusing on just this, or like summarizing, trying like tie up as many loose ends as I can towards this. it's like, and now I'm meant to like, that was halfway, and now we just do like another one again. It's like, what?
Yeah. I guess maybe I should think of it as like part one and part two
Mm.
of a book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like any sort of like big thing, like any of these big things, because so much like it's more the emotional energy you invest in these things. It's like as soon as you've done that, it's like, oh, what next? I feel kind of like it's hard to go back into. I had a similar thing like with because I ran a half marathon a few months ago. Like after that, it was like, oh yeah, now I've done that. It's like now what do I do next? It's like
Yeah.
you just like feel like kind of like you build yourself up to like this big sort of like emotional percent, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm now just tired.
Yeah.
It's like just like
And to be fair, I did, so like after confirmation, because the deadline was actually like just after Easter. And I was like, no, I'm submitting it before Easter and then I'm going home for a week and I'm just having a week off. And I didn't think about work once. And that was like really nice. Yeah. So definitely did some good. But now I'm just like, when's my next holiday? When's my next break? But no, it'll be good. It will be, yeah, not scary. It'll be fine. So, moving on. The wise sage in the corner.
Wise wisdom. Okay.
How is everything?
I think things are going.
Mhm.
They're going. I'm Seb.
Yeah, we don't actually forget to
Oh,
introduce
sure.
ourselves.
Did the other people introduce?
yeah. I think people like we're sort of. I think we're probably going to try and go quicker through what everybody's doing. So on names.
Oh, I don't think I
Huh?
introduced
Did
myself.
you? Oh, I introduced myself. I think.
I just can't remember.
Hi, I'm Henry.
Hello, Henry.
Hello, Seb.
If you want to know who we are, go on the Instagram. It's at the bottom there.
We should probably have a command of like,
I mean, there's a command like I think it's like ! socials.
for like exclamation mark.
Who we are.
continue.
Yeah, okay. That'd be quite good actually. Who? Or like meet.
Meet the people.
Yeah, like a meet the team, or like who.
Yeah, or just.
Yeah, that's just enough who. I like that.
Okay.
Mhm.
So Seb.
So I'm Seb. Hello. In my final year of research, final year of sound that. So things are coming together.
Mhm.
Like my PhD has been more like little projects
Okay.
kind of thing along the way, rather than like one big continuous thing. So one project we like wrapped up at the end of last year, and now we're in the middle of next project. And I think things are going well. Lots of ideas. We've understood what other people have done, and they're like, okay, now it's time for us to do something exciting instead. And so, okay, what is this spice that we're going to add? We're not sure. So it's just kind of playing around with different ideas, just coding things up, which is quite nice. Because the last project was very like theory heavy, and now this is like a very like coding heavy one, which I like. I like coding. Um, but yeah, and then in the future, in theory, I'll be submitting in September. Well, no,
Yeah.
September time. So that means writing up in like June, starting writing up in June sort of time. It's like, am I gonna have everything done? It's like, I'm not sure. I think in theory, I strive. I strive for this.
Because how do you feel about that in the sense that I think I'd probably be more the same in that I'd want to be like, no, everything is done completely, and now I'm just going to write.
Yeah.
But I guess there is an option as well of sort of starting writing with the things that you know are done while finishing with the other things. Like, which one would you sort of prefer?
I think I would prefer having everything done before writing. Because like the dream is to do thesis by publication.
Okay.
So
I mean, explain.
So when it comes to the thesis, the main document you get at the end, you can either just like write like a book from start to finish yourself in full, and that's like one approach of doing it. Or another thing is thesis by publication, where the idea is that throughout your PhD, you've like writing like some papers or like relevant and then you basically just glue them together
Mhm.
with a few paragraphs, and then add a big introduction, add some concluding remarks, and then like this is it. This is my contributions.
Mhm.
Um,
Which in theory makes the final sort of thesis writing easier.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
So that's the plan. So there is one paper that has been accepted, like the previous project's been accepted for publication. So that's like definitely like a nice weight off my shoulders.
Yeah.
And the other week my supervisors were like, oh, okay, so maybe you should start, writing up a big document on this current stuff, and that's usually like the first step towards getting
Yes.
what
Yeah.
will become paper.
Mhm.
I think is what the plan is.
Yeah. And I think I'm right in saying that to do thesis by publication, you don't have to have had them all published at that point, do
No.
you?
That's correct.
They
It is
just
actually you only need one paper published to do thesis by publication.
okay.
It is literally you just need one paper, then you can just stick anything else with it to be like. I mean, like as soon as it's thesis by publication is as soon as you like in your thesis, you just include a paper you have published at some point in it.
I mean, Cat's disagreeing with you.
Okay, I don't know. I like. I'm sure somebody like who's like somebody like somebody else in the department's told me it only has to be one paper, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, like that's why I knew there wasn't a strict thing on like every paper has to be
Yeah,
fully published
Yeah,
and
you can have
accepted.
like
Yeah.
pre-prints.
Yes, yeah, and draft manuscripts and
Yes.
yeah, but given that Cat is currently
yeah. No, I don't disagree. This is like a half amended thing, which like I don't know.
yeah,
I
like I'm
think
sure there is
somebody like an old PhD student. I mean, like somebody has said it to me at some point,
Mhm.
but like it doesn't. There's not like a number paper thing. Like it could only be like one or two papers, and it can still be thesis by publication. But if obviously Kat, who's writing up, knows.
Yeah, she said that you're right that you don't need many papers,
Yeah,
but it has to be ready to submit. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, but they don't have to have been accepted.
yeah.
Um, so
So just like all of your like contributions have to be in some sort of like ready to submit
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
state.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, like essentially, like like such where they're like on archive,
Mhm. Mhm.
like or going through the review process is fine as well.
Mhm.
I can do this. I
Yeah,
can do this.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You got this. I mean, I think having lots of little projects kind of helps for that
Mm.
in a sense as well. But I'm interested, like in hindsight, are you very happy with the fact that your PhD has been lots of little kind of compartments? Or do you think you would have liked kind of like a bigger
Mm.
project with like a big kind of overarching goal?
I do feel like I take a long time to burn in to a project to start doing things. So I feel like in having lots of little projects, it does feel like most of my time has been spent like
Yeah,
not being
yeah.
productive, not doing things, not understanding things. Um, like my progress is definitely very non-linear.
Mhm.
Eventually I feel like one way like say there's some algorithm they need to like understand. Like, one approach would be to just like basically do like line by line and understand each line perfectly.
Mhm.
Whereas the way I'm doing it, I'm kind of like looking at all lines and then slowly understanding everything all at once.
Okay.
But most of the time, just having no idea what's happening, and suddenly I reach one point where suddenly everything makes sense.
Okay. Okay.
And for whatever reason, that seems to be my learning
Okay.
style. Maybe I should try and change that.
That's great
But
for you so far.
this is true. This is true.
But I don't think you need to change that if you understand that is how you
Yeah.
work. As long as you can like accommodate for that
Yeah.
and not give yourself a hard time because it's kind of like I should be understanding something when you just learn that no, like this is how my brain needs to do things. So
So yeah. So maybe in that sense, maybe I would have benefited from us having one big
mhm,
project because then eventually hopefully reach that threshold of understanding and then have a lot of time to
mhm,
be in the state of
mhm.
feeling comfortable understanding things.
I think chatting with people who've like done one big project, it's never like one big project. It's 5 sub projects all of the same theme. So like you could do like we understood it one project as we understood in this case, but then like our other cases the same project but just like in a slightly different flavor going in a slightly different direction. So it's all one project still, but it's still 5 or 6 separate things.
Mm.
I mean, I guess my sort of PhD is slightly different in the sense that I could maybe make it more separate things,
Mhm.
but because I do have this overarching thing of like guppies and their behavior, and it's like we want to understand this specific thing. I do have like mini projects and I guess models within,
Mhm.
but I still have this overall goal of like I want to have this big sweeping thing that
Okay.
all links together in the end.
Mhm.
But I mean, whether that's maybe too ambitious or not, I don't know. Sometimes I do think that maybe having those little projects is easier.
Yeah. Whereas my projects have been more like they're thinking about a certain optimization problem,
Mm-hmm.
but one is like a special case and like a very theory result of that. And then this current project is just, oh, how do you like numerically solve the more general
Mhm.
problem? So while like in writing a big document, I can see like the narrative of how I will like link everything together.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of like the content of the projects themselves, they're like very in terms of like the actual content is very different
Mm-hmm.
in terms of what the goals are. But of course, I'm sure there's like transferable skills in between.
Mm-hmm.
Doing one project, there are some like understanding of like the general
Yeah.
literature and what have you. That's
Mhm.
applicable and useful for
Mm-hmm.
my current project for
Yeah.
sure.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
So, but we're not allowed to ask you about thesis until June. That's
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
we'll set that as a rule.
Do you have thesis.tech yet?
No, I do not. I do
Okay,
not.
okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
We can set it as like chat rules as well. We'll have like no
Yeah.
asking Seb about his thesis, no asking Kat about her thesis. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it should be
Mhm.
good. Good
Mhm.
times. Good
Yeah.
times ahead.
Yeah. Okay. But it's good that you're positive, and it's like that final kind of stretch. Yeah.
Mm.
Mhm. Yeah. Have you enjoyed the PhD?
I have enjoyed
Yeah.
the PhD.
Yeah.
I've
Mhm.
I've really enjoyed it. I've got like a really good relationship with my supervisors, which I'm very grateful for.
Mhm.
And overall, I just have had like a fantastic experience. I'm very happy to say.
Mhm.
That's
good.
Yeah, that's really good.
I do think like just naturally as a person, I do have a very like optimistic and positive sort of outlook and attitude,
Mhm.
which I think has definitely helped me
Mm.
because there were some fairly low frustrating points.
Mhm.
But even then,
Mhm.
it was like, no, it'll come together. It'll be good, and it
Yeah.
has been. It
Yeah.
has been.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't mind me saying, then I think having your positive outlook and attitude around is good for all of us.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's much appreciated.
Absolutely.
Yeah. 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 When we need to, when we're all having those low moments, we just need to like remember to be more Seb.
Yeah.
Just channel that in Seb. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Should give a TED talk or something.
Yeah. So am I allowed to ask about maybe next steps?
Next steps.
As in
Yes.
post PhD?
Yes.
That's
So
okay if you're not thinking about that yet.
I have been
Say.
thinking. I want to stay in academia
Mhm.
area. I enjoy researching.
Mhm.
I also enjoy like teaching as well. Um, so yeah. So I am tentatively looking
Yeah.
around postdocs. Um, but also I will be. I think it's basically confirmed that I'll be having like 4 months after my PhD, going to the Netherlands,
Exciting.
to do a little project there,
Mhm.
with someone in a general kind of like numerical analysis kind of area, but
Mhm.
very different maths to what I've been doing to just
Okay.
broaden my tool set.
Is
Yeah.
that a postdoc?
No.
Who's funding it?
My supervisor is part of a
Okay.
big staff exchange grant.
Okay.
So, but I will be getting some money, but not as an official postdoc thing.
Mm.
It's really fun.
So that will be me
Mm.
sorted until like January, in
Okay. Yeah.
theory.
So like it kind of acts as a buffer and gives you a little bit more time to think
Yes.
post
Yes.
PhD. And yeah. No, that's quite. And again, any exposure is good exposure. Like you're learning different things. Like to see another country.
Mm.
Like yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
love.
Mhm.
How's your Dutch then?
Negative.
Negative.
Oh wait, no. There's like a
Yours is good.
or something. It's like blood is good, which is like no pain, no gain kind of thing. I know that. It's what my son has taught me. That's my limit of Dutch.
Of all the phrases to know in Dutch.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Pain, no gain.
Yeah.
What's that? applicable to research.
I think that's like a pretty good option. Like, if you say that to someone like, that's you're stopping like says for cashier, no pain, no gain. It doesn't mean that don't know what it means.
Okay.
I think it's like a good response to any question.
Like, do you want a bag? It's
No
like
pain, no gain.
But then I would say that in no, you're making life harder for yourself by not having a bag. Okay. I mean, but that is very exciting, and I'm sure you have experience with research visits
Mhm.
in Europe before.
Yes.
I am sure you will manage the language and
Mhm.
all of those sort of hurdles. But it's
Yeah.
exciting. Yeah, yeah.
I do need to think about logistically of like all of my stuff that I
Mhm.
have because I know like I'm not going to have a house in the UK
No.
during that time. And it's like, do I just dump it with my parents
Mhm.
or like just find some expensive locker somewhere and shove it in there?
Yeah.
They're like, I've got a little whiteboard. What do I do? Or like a rice cooker? Where does the rice cooker go?
Yeah. It needs to be looked after.
I know.
Maybe Samba needs to start investing in some storage units.
Fair.
Because the amount of people that I feel like just could do with would
Yeah.
like a Samba storage unit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um,
Okay. You need to make sure you get plenty of stroop waffles. Whatever it is.
okay.
Yeah.
I will do.
Mhm.
But yeah, but other than that, just browsing big lists of like research opportunities,
Mhm,
be like, oh, this is kind of it
Yeah,
looks
yeah.
nice. I would try and apply.
And I think like having that willingness to kind of change direction,
Mm.
like use your skill set that you've developed with a change of focus
Mhm.
is like a good, healthy attitude to have. I think it's quite common to have to change at postdoc level. So
Mhm.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, doing a PhD is not like a commitment to like, oh, this is the only like topic, the only like application you can think about. And I figured I'd, make the most of this opportunity to spread my wings a
Yeah.
bit.
Add another string to your bow.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
Is a multi-stringed bow
I'm sure that's
good?
something special.
Isn't that just a violin? Like, does
What
it?
kind
At what
of
point does it become an instrument?
Well, anything like
instruments are good?
Yeah.
anything's like anything that vibrates in it.
I mean, would I prefer a harp or a bow?
But if it's a multi-string bow, is that just a harp?
Where are the multi-strings though? Are they all like at the same bit? Is it just like a strong string?
Does a compound bow have lots of string,
I have
like
no
pulleys
idea.
and like levers?
Should
Oh.
should have.
Where's Miles when we
Where's
need
Miles?
him? Oh.
So I will have
And another to your quiver.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it might have been a less confusing experience.
Yeah. But yeah, I reached out and like, oh, do you want to host me on and do a project in this kind of area? And they're like, yes, I want to do a project on. And then they said some words I don't quite understand. And I was like, okay,
Okay.
I'm not afraid of new maths.
Yes,
Yes,
yeah.
I will do this.
This is good. It sounds like a good, very healthy attitude.
Yeah.
I'm going to suggest that we have a couple of minutes break.
Yeah.
So we will don't go anywhere. We'll go to a little BRB, go and get a drink or
Stretch your
whatever you
legs.
would like to do in the break. And we'll be back. We'll have a chat about exciting things coming up. Yeah. So we will see you soon.
Hi.
Hello.
We're back again. Hopefully you hydrated or something. I don't know.
Stretched.
Yes,
Yoga.
stretched legs.
Meditated.
Did like some 3-minute yoga. Yeah.
Must be a thing 3-minute yoga. That sounds like a challenge. Like a TikTok challenge.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I guess we've caught up on all things sort of PhD work wise. Has anybody been up to anything exciting recently?
Exciting.
You.
No, Susie. Well, both of us went to a conference recently.
And Kat was there.
Kat was also there. We did spot her around.
British Applied Maths Colloquium, otherwise known as BAMC.
Yeah, so
Or BAMC.
Nice.
no, it was good. It was good fun actually. Eventful.
Yeah.
Yeah. the conference dinner got cancelled.
Yes.
Cancelled.
Yeah, that was interesting. So
Mhm.
so the venue didn't know of our existence. So the venue was it was like the conference was hosted like in a big conference centre in Newcastle University. But like the conference dinner was hosted at the Civic Centre, which I'm assuming is like a big multi-purpose
Mhm.
like
Sure. Like venue.
venue. So we weren't on the first charge for people to turn up to the Civic Centre, but I think basically people turned up and realised the main doors and the whole building was locked. So then, like, emailed because no, the event, I don't know. Then, like, some chain of events happened that, for whatever reason, there was like a error. I think on the civic centre's end where they just didn't know of our existence. So everybody ended up in the Weatherspoons, which was the SU.
Okay.
Ah.
Had they booked it in for the wrong day? Is what I heard.
I think it was like a weirder double booking for.
Right. Okay.
I'm not sure how like such a large scale things, but because also there's presumably caterers as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not quite sure because I also know that like the BMC also outsourced to another company which did a lot of like the like on the boots organisation and everything. It was like
Okay.
there was like
Yeah.
the academics and stuff who were organising BMC, and then they outsourced a lot of like the day-to-day running of things to a third-party organisation. Who then I don't know presumably pick the civic centre, say somewhere in a chain of people
Yeah. Yeah.
the data space,
A
but
shame.
It is. I mean, I've not. I think it's probably worth saying that is a rare.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
thing to happen
nobody
at a
has like ever had
conference.
that happening before.
Yeah. Yeah. But aside from that, how was your first conference experience?
Fun.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's incredibly busy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm actually. Well, I wasn't surprised by that. I knew it was going to be busy, but it takes it out of you quite quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like a 9 a.m. start with an hour-long session,
Mm-hmm.
and then a few hours of talks by students, and a very short lunch, really,
Mm-hmm.
and then more talks, and then another hour session at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day. And it's like that for 3 days straight,
Yeah. Yeah.
effectively.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of stuff going on all the time, constantly. Yeah, very busy,
Mm-hmm.
and I was very, very tired after.
Did you make the effort to try and did you go to a session like every time you went to a
I
session?
tried to.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I normally, so they were like sessions, and they were kind of related to similar
Mhm,
topics.
Okay.
So there was like fluids, like instability
Mhm.
fluids. So I actually sat in that entire session for all the talks.
Mhm.
That was interesting to me.
Mhm.
But a couple of people went to different ones. They're only 20 minutes long, these little talks. And people walked in out of the rooms to every too much walking around.
Yeah.
I
Too
think
really
so.
crazy to do it.
So Caroline, who was a previous behind research guest, is again first year on Sounder, and I think she did it at the option, which actually where she had a big highlighted timetable,
I must
Ah,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
when between like every single room, like
nice.
all across the entire thing, which is definitely was
I have big respect.
which is
I mean, like, yeah, I think I did do that the first time I went to a conference. I think as a rule of thumb, I would say if you're going to change, maybe limit it to like one change per slot.
one change per session.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I did most of the time. Was like I'd be like, oh, this session seems mostly vaguely useful, so I'm just going to stay in the session.
Mm-hmm. But then the biggest issue is like actually relying on people sticking to time
This is
so that you
They-
can change and then see the talks that you want to see.
I think it was better than last year's one in Bristol. I think because the nature of the thing is all in one building. It was basically one building where like it was like 2 rooms per floor, but all the floors were directly above. Whereas previously the last venue when it was in Bristol, all the rooms are scattered around this massive building where like almost it was a 5-minute walk in this building between lecture rooms. Whereas like in Newcastle, it was like
Yeah,
either next door or up or down one floor, like
Mhm.
into your next location. So
it was quite good.
That's good though.
But
Yeah.
I chose to stick in the same one for most of
Yes.
it.
Yeah. It makes it like less stressful to
yeah.
start with.
I was quite lucky in the sense most of the things I wanted to go to were in the same slot.
Yeah.
So that was,
Yeah.
it suited me fine. But yeah, it was very good. All the student talks were good.
Yeah.
It made me feel very, very bad about my slow progress so
No,
far.
no. I think that you find that student talks are usually the best ones at
Yeah.
conferences.
they're fantastic.
It's like the older academics that have been doing it and they know their stuff, but their delivery is like, yeah.
I think it's also there's like they are less invested in their single talk. Like as a PhD student, this will be like they've only probably given like maybe 1 or 2 maybe to their first one. So like the level of investment is a lot higher. And also I think PhD students know like if you give a good talk
Mhm.
and so, like an academic institution sees it, really likes it, you kind of need that as part of your self marketing for like future jobs.
Mhm.
So everybody's far more invested in giving a really high quality talk. Whereas a big academic is a prof, someone's like, well, I'm going to do fine if I give a bad talk.
Yeah,
It's like,
definitely.
as much as I don't know if people are right to be thinking about it, I definitely think there's like a big,
Mhm.
mental thing of
I did make the effort to go to all the Bath people as well.
Mhm.
So I want to see what everyone else is doing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
all of those talks are really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think more often than not, like when you go to conferences and you don't often get to see your sort of peers present. So then it is quite nice, like just to be like, again, we could spend lunch together, like sort of every day for months, and then never really have like an in-depth conversation about, so what are
Yeah.
you actually doing? So it's quite nice to,
That's really
yeah.
interesting.
Mhm.
particularly like them formally presenting as opposed to like, so there's like a postgraduate seminar series, which is, PhD students presenting their work. But that is very casual. People are very casual in that. It's
Mhm.
people are using a lot more as like a relaxed dry run, whereas obviously at these conferences everyone's far more like professional. Everyone's like, the game faces are on and everyone's like, really, try like not people aren't trying, but a lot more serious about it, which is like sometimes nice to see.
Yeah. I think another thing that was quite good. So in the afternoon they had the mini symposium.
Mhm.
So like 20-minute session of like a lecturer or a postdoc.
Yeah, yeah.
Or someone like really experienced talking about something. Or at least that's the thing I got. But this time they added a maths communication
Mhm.
symposium session, which was run by Kat and jumped into. And that was really nice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Really nice change of pace. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went to all of them. They
Mhm.
were great, Kat.
Mhm.
I
Really
kind of guess the session I ended up going to was very boring. I was like,
That's you
I
right.
was like, I should have not the interesting one.
I think like of all the symposiums, one about mass communication should in theory be the most engaging, right?
Yeah.
Because in theory, they're people that know their stuff about
Mhm.
communicating
I
maths.
feel like you kind of need it. Unfortunately, like that was right at the end of the
Yeah.
schedule, wasn't it? And like I
Yeah.
feel like some people maybe needed that at like the start of the week, and then maybe some
Yeah, make
people
notes, people.
like this is how you communicate maths effectively. Go and change your talks.
Yeah. No, it was really good. Really, really good.
Mhm.
The room they had us all in, there was not enough seats.
Oh,
So
really?
people were bringing
Whoa.
seats in
Right.
Wow.
to try and fill
Popular.
that.
Yeah.
I feel like it was like I think it was a perfect thing to have a conference and where like everybody's kind of
True.
doesn't
Yeah.
want to be like, engaging with super high level stuff of like this and like differential equations or a thing. Everybody follow along with some complicated mathematics of like, I think lots of people are like, oh, this is a nice gentle end to the conference of like, this is going to be useful for everyone.
Yeah.
And you don't need to be, doing, trying to work out a Fourier transform
Mhm.
a triangle or something on the,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, just trying to work out some like horrendous like intricate expression, like,
Yeah. So like when you said the end of the conference, were there no like concluding
Okay,
remarks or anything? Or
there was like a final
okay.
session, but this was like the final like the BAMC schedule is like beginning of the day. First thing is like there's a plenary talk, first block of like these parallel sessions where there's lots of these groups, lunch, another block of these parallel sessions, then like final plenary talk, which is like a big hour long where we go to the same room, and then there was closing remarks.
Okay. So remember I went to a conference one time and there weren't any closing remarks.
Right.
So it's
Okay.
like you just went to a mini symposium, got like a bunch of maths
Yeah.
put on you, and you're like, okay, I just go now.
Oh,
It was odd.
yeah. Okay. Oh, on the subject of conferences, has anyone else been to conferences recently or any more coming up?
I went to a conference immediately after BAMC.
Lovely.
I went straight from BAMC, had a day in Edinburgh, and then on the Sunday I was in a big. I got a mug.
What?
I have a mug.
Okay.
A mug. Yeah, it's got the acronym, which was IWWWFB.
For the wind turbines in a
Yeah.
wedding.
International Workshop for Water Waves and Floating Bodies.
It's terrifying.
Jake, someone's
I
like,
was gonna say,
Right.
did they not think this through
yeah,
slightly?
someone's like, yeah, it's like this conference always sounds like it's a pathologist conference. But if floating body is any sort of object floating, like,
Yeah, I mean,
like it's not a, it's a body in the literal sense of like,
Yes.
and then you like it's floating objects, probably.
and I get why it's used as like a science, because we say about like the 2 or the 3 body
This is
problem,
true, yeah.
that sort of thing. Like it makes perfect sense
Just-
scientifically, but just when you're talking about water,
Yeah, so it was. Yeah, so it was like a big. No, there's like 100 and something delegates, 50 talks or something. So it was over 3 days. It was like 3 full days of conferences, but split over 2 half days and 2 full days. So it started Sunday afternoon and finished Wednesday lunchtime. And yeah, it was all in one place. But it was probably the nicest place I've ever stayed in. Like it was in like St Andrews, in like a fair like resort.
Okay.
It was
Getting spoiled.
it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
it was just going. It was a good conference, but it was definitely like, oh, this is actually really fancy. I think like I think like the rooms were like 250 if you're paying for like each of them. My room like for each night would have been,
Gosh.
if I was paying like hotel rates, was like 300 quid or something a night.
Crikey.
Like they had staff on the door and like, oh, good evening, sir. I'm like, this is too nice. Stop talking to me. It was like, oh, like, would you like me to carry your bags up to your room? Like, oh no.
Wow.
So, just out of interest and more maybe for a little bit of a
Yeah.
wider explanation, you say that if you'd have had to pay for that.
So there's a conference rate for these things. Of like,
yeah.
So my entire like 3 day conference was, well, 4 days, whatever, like was 675 quid, which was a student rate.
Yeah.
But that was all the conference stuff, all the notes in the hotel, all my food,
Right.
all the conference merch and stuff so yeah, because breakfast was in lunch and dinner was included each day.
Okay.
So
that is good then in that sense.
So I think I was then like doing as a comparison, like if you used to do BAMC, which was the same length of time conference beforehand, and staying at like the conference like motel and stuff, they were by the conference hotel, I was saying. I think BAMC would have been about 500, 150, so it was like maybe £100 cheaper, but for exceptionally nice like surroundings and stuff. And like so for like the big final, because there was like a conference banquet each night. But the big final conference banquet, they bussed us all to Dundee and we went round the HMS Discovery. So the ship captain's got to be up party. And we got a guided tour from this like ship, and then like had a big banquet dinner, like the.
Seems pretty appropriate for like a walkway.
Yeah. It was appropriate. What else did we do? On the second night, we did some dancing. We had a man with bagpipes and was doing Cayley dancing.
Whoa.
I did make a mistake if he was like, "Oh, anyone from Scotland?" Someone put their hand. I was like,
no.
"Oh," he was like, "Oh, well done." I was like, "Oh, this song's about how like this is all about how the Scottish beat up some English man. Is anybody from England?" Of course, I put my hand up. And he's like, "You're also dancing in a minute." So yeah, I was made to dance like I think the dance was called the Gay Gordons.
Okay.
Which was like a Scottish like dance.
I am only sorry that none of the rest was for that film.
There will be a video of this somewhere on the internet because
I
people
would
were.
like to acquire that. Yeah.
No, I wasn't making photos that it was absolutely beautiful, which might make an appearance on the Instagram. But I understand how Instagram works.
Or as in, you give me them.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm making this. But it was really, really good. And like, it was interesting because of like, I was the only person from Bath there. My supervisor couldn't make it. I was the only PhD student there.
Oh, really?
So, only PhD student from Bath.
Oh,
so
okay.
the only one I knew.
Oh, sure.
Which was actually, I hope, quite nice because it meant like, I think it's quite a good thing to experience of like, you're on your own now and you actually have to make friends and network. Whereas all the previous ones have been like BAMC, where those people from Bath, or there was no one I went to was like, Cat was there. So it's like, it's always like, I feel like it's very easy sometimes just to fall into a habit of like only talking with people you know.
Yeah. And I think it's definitely a valid thing, like, because sort of, like you say, these conferences are full on.
Yeah.
And so your social battery is going to run out at some point, and you need to conserve that.
Oh, 100%.
So there's an element of it. It's quite nice having that support network there. But you're right that sometimes you just have to be forced to.
Yeah. I'm definitely like moving on the other conference. Well, I don't know if it's also because I was coming off the back of another conference, but like the Wednesday after, like I woke up on my Wednesday morning, I was like, I'm just exhausted. Which is good. I'm still really tired now, so a few days off. Like, it was like if I didn't have time research and stuff on stuff, I probably would have worked from home and just had like a lie-in and like. But it's also been nice to get back into the office. But no, it was interesting because of like it was mostly engineers at the conference, and so the vibe was very different. Everybody was wearing suits when they were presenting. Most of the people in the conference were walking around in like at least chinos and a shirt, if not actual like.
What were you?
I was wearing like jeans and a t-shirt and like a normal jumper. I was in like my normal like conference.
It is normal for
definitely people like dressed to that level there. But because there was a load of industry people there, like who work in like these big wind turbine firms, and It was a big like international. It's probably the most international conference I've been to before. So, and again, you have the culture of like international people coming, and like there's a lot more sort of professional-ish dress and attire, which was it was definitely like interesting to see, but also people dressing a lot less excitedly when you see like everybody was wearing blues, greys, whites.
Okay, sounds like there weren't any women there.
Yeah, no, that was something
Just because
that was honestly something I noticed as well.
Mhm.
Like I think I don't know, like maths conferences sometimes aren't great, but this was at a
Yeah, yeah.
very another level of
Okay.
like I think there was 20 PhD students and only one female PhD student there out of everyone, out of all the PhD students attending, and probably a very similar ratio in the academics.
Yeah,
Which I don't know if it's just. I think it's very much probably a combination between like engineering tends to be even worse than maths in terms of things, and I think potentially the international aspect of it's also meant there's a lot of people from I think countries where there's a worse gender balance than in the UK in terms of academia as well.
yeah. I mean, again, can't necessarily.
I didn't want to comment, but like,
yeah.
but I think those are like the two big factors where it's like a very big international contingent and engineering, whereas like at a lot of the other conferences, it's like definitely been noticeably better balances.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think I go to a conference and I like dressing up. Like when you say about maths conferences, the kind of general rule of thumb is that you don't have to, and a lot of people don't. I like dressing up, and I think just because I like smart clothes, I like formal wear, and I don't get to wear it very often. And then I think there's something in my brain that goes like, I must be seen even more, and I'm gonna wear my bright pink suit. And it's like, Which when you just say about like it's just like a sea of like
it was just
Hollywood grey and
it was just
stuck out like a sore thumb.
it was because I was going to wear because I have these Hawaiian shirts. So I was going to wear these Hawaiian shirts. I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm not going to wear that because I'm going to stick out and be like. Well, like it was also so this conference also had like the rule that you should only attend the conference if you were presenting or like a co-author on a paper that was being presented.
Okay.
And I wasn't, and I just applied and they let me in. So I was there, and like, people were like, oh, when are you presenting? I'm like, oh, I'm not. I'm like, should you be? I'm like, they let me in. So yeah, that was just slightly like interesting because I was like, oh, okay, I don't want to like, be picked out by one of the big organisers to be like, I don't think anyone like shouted at you, but like be like,
no, I didn't.
I did then have like a slightly, imposter of like I shouldn't really be here, but I was like, okay, I'm just going to blend into the background. But no, it was a good meeting. It was nice to go to something where like I can actually see things which we could do as mathematicians and solve these problems. Because I think a lot of time the engineers are very good mathematicians in their own right, but they'll get to a bit of their problem and be like, we're stuck, we're just going to hit it with compute. And it's like I'm like, I think you could go further with the maths here. I think you could do some more with this system to actually be like. I was like, I can certainly do. There was one problem which is very similar to like my PhD, and they got to a point where they've got stuck. I'm like, I think we could actually solve this analytically. So I think that's going to be interesting. It'd be nice to work on that. So then I could present a talk the next time I do the conference and be like, I'm here legitimately. It was also my big plan is so they do a fellowship for student talks, and like next year they're going to Shanghai. So apply for a talk, win the fellowship, free trip to Shanghai. That's the plan.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah. Seb, what about you?
Have I been to any recently? I don't think I have. Have I?
I feel like I remember your presence for like a long period of time. As in, like, I don't feel like you've been away recently.
No, not this calendar year.
No.
I don't think. But I will be going in like a month's time.
Oh, okay.
There's one on inverse problems happening in Malta that I'm going to.
Is this the one? Not the one that you got invited to talk at, or is it?
This is one that my supervisor got invited to, and he's like, Seb, go in my stead.
Okay.
I was like, yes, okay.
It's like pretend that your name is Matthias.
Yes,
they won't notice.
So do you know anybody at that conference, or you gonna be?
I think there will be a Samba alumni. Margaret is going to be there,
Nice.
which will be nice. And then I think certainly one academic is going. I think for the most part, new faces. Certainly in the mini symposium that I'm part of, it's all
Okay.
new people.
I feel like you're very good at making friends, though.
Yeah.
You are. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're good at the networking.
Yeah, I think I got lucky. I like some Australians took me under their wing.
Yeah. I think almost all conferences that I've gone to, it's just been me for the most part.
Wow.
So I've managed to.
Big brave boy.
Yeah. Yeah. But now I know that I can do it, so I feel
Yes.
comfortable.
Yeah. I guess if you get thrown in at the deep end and then you've not known any different.
This is true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's also I'm in fluids, which is like there's always people in the department who are doing like fluid mechanics stuff. So it's like there's always a chance that there's probably going to be somebody who's going to that conference. Whereas you're in a bit more of a niche area in the department.
Yeah. Like I recognize the names of like other people.
Yeah,
like,
you definitely
different
start to.
symposiums. So it's like, okay.
Yeah.
You're like, you were at the last conference that I went to, and you get the same people doing the same sets, don't you? Yeah.
But yeah, that should be good. And I found out the other day that I'm getting some money to go to it. I applied to some random travel grant thing,
Okay.
and I thought they just weren't going to respond, but then they responded to me and be like, "Oh, we're going to give you £400." I was like, "Oh, nice."
Was this a travel grant associated with the conference?
No, it was just completely independent. It was the QJMAM. I don't know. There's some. It's like the quarterly journal, engineering and maths. I don't know. Something. There's the. I don't know. I'm getting a little bit of money, which is nice and unexpected.
Yeah, and I think it definitely shows like we all get like a certain amount of funding for travel and for like it's called our training support fund, and I think every PhD comes attached with some kind of money. But it's good to know that like if that runs out for any reason, or it's like there are just little pots. I guess it's just knowing where to look in some sense, and like
Yeah, because I think like if I didn't have this, then I would have bled my entire TSF completely dry. But now in theory, I could like register at least to another conference. Which would be just good to have. But yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Looking forward to the conference.
Is that including the extra £500 we got of like special money you can apply? Okay.
Yeah.
Have you got any conferences, Beth?
I have two planned.
Two?
Yeah.
Oh my.
So they're both math bio focused conferences.
Yeah.
Back to back as well. So that's
For Mike, you need to take time in between.
So that is the plan. I think conferences that I've been to in the past have been very much like the first one I wasn't presenting, so I kind of went to everything, but there was no pressure. So it was even though it was busy and I did throw myself into it, I enjoyed it still because the pressure was off. And then BAMC last year was like the first one that I'd done presentation at. So that was again a different sort of I'm definitely presenting at one of them. I'm hoping that I'll get a talk at both, which would be quite nice because then I can just prepare one talk and give it twice. But the first one is in Vienna, and then the second is in Toledo in Spain, which is just south of Madrid. So the plan is to have conference mini break, conference mini break, and make the most of like.
How long is your
travel.
mini break split between the two?
So there'll be like a long, well, not even a long weekend. There'll be like a couple of days, each time. So
because I had like Friday, which I was traveling to like Edinburgh, and Saturday in Edinburgh, relaxing, and then like straight to Scotland. Like I wish I had one more day just to properly recharge.
Yeah, I think I got 2 full days in Vienna, and then a travel day.
Okay.
And then 2.5 days in Madrid after the Toledo conference.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm looking forward to them, and I know I'm kind of mentally preparing for like it's going to be busy and it's going to be full on. I don't think I can mentally prepare for like how hot it might be.
I think there's some hot weather in the UK to make sure they're all adjusted.
Yeah.
If it could be really hot for like June and like the first half of July, I'd appreciate that. But yeah, so looking forward to that. Yeah.
Will you be presenting at these?
Presenting at the second one, definitely.
Mm.
So there's the second one. There's quite a big contingent of us going for math, which is again lovely. And it's like, you have that support network there if you need it. But I am going to try and push myself to go network.
Nice.
She says. But yeah, so a lot of us have got talks at that. So like in the same way that BAMC, like you kind of went and we can all go and support each other, and it's quite nice in that sense. And I think none of us are overlapping either. So they've released the talk schedule, and there's like 7 or 8 of us giving talks.
Yeah, so you would have thought.
And we're all in different sessions. We're like, this is genuinely quite, yeah. So yeah, I'll wait and see with the first one, whether I get anything or not. But yeah, so that's really exciting. Yeah. I think we could probably wrap up there. What I mean, I hadn't thought through the next bit of that, but it was like, what do we need to say? Do we need to tell people about anything before we leave? um, our next Meet People stream will be the first Friday of May. So yeah, I think that is the 3rd of May.
I have no idea.
Okay.
I think that's
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
going to be very stressed.
Oh.
We can call supports due on the Monday after that.
Right.
Friday.
Okay. But yeah, so we have another guest lined up for our next Meet People stream. So keep up to date with.
Have we announced the guest yet?
No, not yet.
But stay tuned.
Yes,
Check
stay tuned.
our socials.
Yeah, keep up to date with our social medias. And we will be back live on Twitch. Is that 2 weeks today or 3 weeks? That's 2 weeks
2
today.
weeks
2
today.
weeks today,
Yes.
I think.
Yeah, 2 weeks today. So thank you all very much for watching. And we will see you very soon.
See you in 14 days.
Bye.
See you soon.